Former Minneapolis cop Derek Chauvin has been found guilty of all 3 charges against him in the murder of George Floyd. This is a big day, and by no means am I saying that this is going to change policing. Obviously, there's still a lot more to be done, but I would be lying if I would say that hearing what you're about to hear in this next clip didn't make me feel really good. Take a listen.
State of Minnesota plaintiff versus Derek Michael Chauvin, defendant. Verdict, count 1. Court file number 27, CR 20-12646. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 2, third-degree murder, perpetrating an eminently dangerous act, find the defendant guilty. Verdict, count 3. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 3, second-degree manslaughter, culpable negligence, creating an unreasonable risk, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:45 p.m.
Immediately after the verdict was read, the judge revoked Derek Chauvin's bail, and he is now in custody while he awaits the official sentencing. So today he's been convicted. In about 8 weeks, we'll find out what his sentence will be, and I'll give you the details on what's likely to happen, at least based on some of the speculation that reporters and law experts have already put out there. But Francesca, first thoughts on this conviction?
I mean, I think that the sad truth is that not a lot of us were expecting this, and that it is good news. But that time after time after time, and especially in the case of Breonna Taylor, you saw the neighbor's wall in her apartment complex get more justice than her family did. And so this is huge, and it is also a testament to the fact that actually protest works, that outrage, that mass movements, they work, that organizing, it works, because you bet yourself that if there hadn't been the giant outpouring a year ago and continuing up until today around George Floyd's murder, this could have easily gone the other way and probably would have.
Right. I mean, I think we're so used to injustice when it comes to police brutality, excessive force, police murders. I mean, case after case, we've seen unarmed individuals literally running away from a cop as he opens fire and shoots them in the back. I mean, the case of Tamir Rice, there was no justice for that 12-year-old who was shot and killed within 2 seconds of the cop showing up to the park. He was playing with a toy gun, of course. I mean, you think about all of these stories. The story that we covered yesterday of an elderly woman with dementia who forgot to pay $13.88 worth of merchandise at Walmart, and then was basically brutalized by the cops who showed up to the scene to apprehend her. It was just violent, brutal, and these are images that we've come to expect, and then usually there's no justice that follows. But in this case, I agree with you. I think thanks to the pressure that was applied for justice, we finally do see a little bit of it. But of course, there's still a lot of work to be done. I mean, the stories that I just detailed right now, the elderly woman, that was a big story yesterday. Police brutality and the virus within policing lives on. I don't know how much of a difference this one conviction will make. I think it certainly does send a message to cops that you're not above the law and you can't just willy-nilly go around brutalizing people over your perceived threat of especially black men in this country. But this is big news. I think you're right. I mean, I did not expect these convictions, all 3 charges, convicted on all 3 counts.
Absolutely, and it doesn't stop, right? I mean, there were 3 other officers involved in this murder, standing by, helping pin George Floyd to the ground so that he could not get loose, so that he could not breathe, right? So that he was, calling out to his mother, and through this trial, we learned that his mother had already passed away, and so according to his brother, he was calling out to her because he knew he was gonna die. I mean, that is the kind of excruciating, heart-wrenching detail that we got in this trial that was so important, that it was more than just those 9 minutes and 29 heinous seconds, that it was more than this officer's murder, that it was sort of a look at every different angle of this crime, which it was a crime. Don't let anyone ever take that word away from this man. He is a murderer. Derek Chauvin is a murderer. But just to say that it was so important for in this case to go through, and that the other police officers who aided and abetted, whose trials are still yet to happen, I hope that this reflects on them, and I hope it sets some sort of precedent, which shows that not only can you not do it yourself, but you can't stand around and be okay with your fellow officer killing someone in front of your eyes. That is aiding and abetting.
That's right. So those 3 officers will stand trial in the summer, August specifically. And of course, we'll give you guys coverage on that and fill you in as we learn more details. But I do want to also just provide some of the photos of what that scene looked like as the verdict was being read. Derek Chauvin, of course, had like a blank expression on his face as the verdict was being read. I found this tweet interesting. So there he is. You can't really make much of someone's facial expression or body language. I try not to do it, but you can tell that he was he seemed somewhat shocked. And then you have the image of him being led away by police because, as I mentioned, his bail was immediately revoked and he's now in custody. When it comes to sentencing, we won't know what the sentence will be for these 3 charges or for the 3 convictions until about 8 weeks from now. And that's based on the New York Times reporting that Derek Chauvin faces up to 40 years in prison when he is sentenced in the coming weeks, but it's likely that he'll receive less time. The presumptive sentence for 2nd-degree murder is 12.5 years, and that's according to Minnesota's guidelines, although the state has asked for a higher sentence. So we don't know what the sentence will be, but we'll find out in about 8 weeks. And Judge Cahill did say that he will sentence him in about 8 weeks. And then finally, Maxine Waters has gotten a lot of attention lately because she was encouraging activists and protesters to take to the streets. That led to a lot of anger among right wingers. And honestly, Cenk and I got into a little bit of a debate recently about whether or not Maxine Waters should have chimed in on what the verdict should be before the jury could pass down a verdict. But we're finding out now that Waters is she's not happy, she's not celebrating, she's relieved. Someone said it better than me. I'm not celebrating, I'm relieved. That's her direct statement. So this is a big deal. It really is. It certainly sends a message, and it shows that if you fight for it, you can win justice, even in cases where it seems like cops are above the law.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.